Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Pear Deck. How many of you have used Pear Deck with your kiddos? Perfect. A few people. Okay. So Pear Deck's a really great tool. It takes your slide presentations that you probably already have or you've been using with your kids, or maybe you've created a few here and there. And what it allows you to do is to implant these interactive activities where they can do multiple choice questions, they can draw on the slide, they can circle things, they can move little icons all around, but it just makes it so the kids are a little bit more engaged while you're working through the slides and presenting content with them. There are two different ways it can happen. It can be student paced, meaning they're going along on their own. These are great for independent work days, kind of on your own activities, kind of classwork based stuff. There's also instructor pace, and this means that you're moving everybody along at the same speed, slide by slide, as you talk about whatever's on those slides that you're doing with the kids. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to open up a Pear Deck. Where's my dinosaurs? Let's try this a different way. Here we go. All right, so if you guys did any of these with me over the summer, this is the same presentation, but it's just a way to kind of see what the different questions look like. If you have a cell phone, or if you want to open up a new tab on your laptop that you're working on, I'm going to ask you to actually join the Pear Deck as if you were a student. And then if you kind of flip back and forth, whether it's your phone and your laptop, or if it's the two tabs on your screen, on the Zoom screen, on the Zoom screen share, you'll be able to see what the teacher version of it looks like. And then on your phone or your tab of your laptop, you'll be able to see what the student version of it looks like. So you actually get to see what the students see. So as a teacher, what you do is you make your slides just like you normally would. And then we have this Pear Deck add-on. So you go to add-ons and you choose Pear Deck for Google Slides, and then you would open it. And once you've opened it, you get this sidebar over here on the right. Some of our videos might be on top of it, but this is where you're able to import questions. You can do a text question, multiple choice, type in a number. You can show kids a website next to the content of the slide so that they're looking at two things at the same time. They can draw on the slide or they can drag on the slide. The other really cool thing that they recently added is audio to the slides. So the slides can talk to them. You can have music playing, you can have you reading the directions on the slide. So you can add this audio piece. And what it looks like when you add a question. So for this particular one, I did draw. And it tells me, what do you want it to do? So I typed my question on the slide. The question is part of my slide. It is not part of Pear Deck. So on the Google slide itself, it says circle your favorite dinosaur. And then when I click draw, it puts this bar on the bottom. This bar is what makes it work in Pear Deck. So each of my slides has a different bar across the bottom that makes it interactive when we log into the Pear Deck. When I'm ready to start my lesson, again, I open the slides, I turn on the Pear Deck add-on, and over here I do start lesson. And it's going to say, am I going to do student paced, where they get to go at their own speed, or is it going to be instructor paced? I'm going to do instructor paced because I feel like that's the most applicable sometimes with our little friends. And it's going to open up, reauthorize. Who are you? Okay. It's going to open up and it's going to give me a code. You also have the option of sharing this with a direct link that you can copy and paste into Google Classroom. Or if we're like we are and we're adults or older kids, you can go to the website joinpdpeardeck.com and type in these 6 letters. So that's what you guys are going to do. And it keeps a running tally for you. So right now I know I have 1 student signed in, 2 students signed in.
Sarah, I just ran upstairs to get my Chromebook so I could do this too.
No problem.
What I just realized though is as a tip, someone's working on our roof, so sorry for the noise. If I get the give students a link,
Yep.
I can put it in Go Guardian for my whole
Yep.
class.
And
I did not
push it
realize
out.
that till today. So that was helpful.
It's very helpful. Go Guardian is like awesome. It's one of my favorite things.
I've done it individually and put it in the chat, but some kids still have trouble. So I didn't realize I could do it all at once.
Yep.
And go. So that was
Yep.
helpful.
So unfortunately with the chat on Zoom and on Go Guardian, it's not always clickable. Like sometimes for the Chromebooks on Zoom, it's never clickable. With the Go Guardian, some people say it is, some people say it isn't. But if you just do the open a new tab, copy this link that shows here, the link is copied on Go Guardian, I can send it as a new tab. It'll automatically open up right for them to where I need them to be. All right, I'm going to give it one more minute. I've got 17 people in and I've got 37 people in my session. So I'll give it one more minute in case anybody else is trying to get in. If you don't get in, that's okay. You'll still be able to see what it looks like on the teacher side.
Sarah, if you were doing this at the student pace, like not the teacher led, would
Yep.
you click on that little link that you just showed and like put it in Google Classroom as an assignment or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So if you've actually connected your Google, there's a little toggle button in your Pear Deck settings that you can turn on and off Google Classroom syncing. So I don't have it on right now because I don't have a ton of Google Classrooms, but if you do have it turned on, right here next to where it says give student a link, there's going to be post link in Google Classroom. So you can even do that too. And then like, let's say you have 4 different classes and you want them all to do it, you can just check box the different classes that you want it to go to. You don't have to go to each classroom and post it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this is my title screen, but the reason I have a blank title screen is down here on the bottom, it shows you how many slides you have, which one you're on. If I wanted to throw in just a real fast question, like something just occurred to me, I've already started, I don't wanna have to get out, go back and add my question, have you guys put in the code again. Right here on the spot, I can click new prompt and I can take one of these pre-made prompts from Pear Deck and I can just drop it right into my presentation. So if I wanted to, I could drop this one in there right now and it's asking you guys to answer a question. So right now I have no responses. I got 1 person who responded, 2, 4, 6, okay? If I wanted to, while we're sharing screens and Zooming, I could show people the responses. Hey, look how many people feel comfortable sharing. Look how many don't. If we're in the middle of something, I've got 19 out of 22. We're ready to move on. I might decide to lock the screens. I'm not going to accept any more answers. The people who haven't answered, you ran out of time. We need to move on. So I can always, I have these options down here. I can hide the responses. Yep.
Can I interrupt? So the first time I did this in school, when you just showed us that share, can you go back to the sharing the responses? That doesn't show up on my kid's screen. I thought it did.
No, it shows up on your presenting screen.
Okay, so that's the part. So it only, so
Yep.
if I'm Zooming, the kids can't see that unless they click back to Zoom.
Correct.
Okay, I didn't understand that. I thought
Correct.
if I did it there, they
So
would.
this is the, so with Pear Deck, there's actually 3 different interfaces. There's the student interface, there's the presenting interface, and then there's the teacher dashboard, which is different. So this is a presenting interface. This is meant to go on your Zoom or if you're in person on your projector screen so that the kids can see, but this is all anonymous. It's not telling me which kid or which teacher said yes and said no. I also have the option to switch over, I gotta move my videos, to the teacher dashboard, which it just said open dashboard. I could choose that. And what that allows me as the teacher is to see who said which answer. So obviously for privacy reasons and, you know, confidentiality, you might not want to show the students who said what, but this is a good way to show them like, hey, you're not on your own. There's 6 other, you know, there's 5 other people in the class who might feel the way that you do.
Sarah, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I know you're going to get to this probably already, but one of the other options is to have kids like move a dot to something.
Yep.
Can you like lock the screen so that they can't move the dots around? Because I did this and I had students like moving the dots all around when I was trying to show everybody.
Yep, I'll show you how to do that too.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. So this was a multiple choice question. You had yes or no. So here's another question where you're going to draw on the screen. With the Chromebooks or the laptop, they do have to use the mouse or the trackpad. With a tablet or a phone, you can obviously draw with your finger. Just depends on what device your kids are using when they do this. Most of them should be on a Chromebook. So they would use their finger on the trackpad and just circle. It's kind of funny the first couple times they do it. They like to laugh at each other. And then when you show your responses, you have a couple of different options. The first option is to see one screen at a time, and you have to scroll down and see them all. The other option is to see like a checkerboard of what everybody's picked, or the one that really gets them giggly is the overlay. And it puts all of the answers on top of each other, and they can kind of see which ones are the most popular. So similar to how we locked the first one, the multiple choice, I could also lock this one. Everybody come back to Zoom, check out what everybody's answers were. I can do it overlay as a list, as a grid, whatever it may be, but nobody is able to circle anything else on their screen. They're looking at what everybody has responded. It's locked. They can't change their answer. And I could do something like, hey, why didn't anybody pick this blue guy down here on the bottom? Unlock it, and maybe somebody picks the blue guy down on the bottom. So it could be an opportunity to say, this is where we stand right now. Let's have a little conversation about what we just learned. I'm going to unlock the screen. Feel free to change your answer now. All right, next question. So this is a text question where they have to type. So tell me something you know about dinosaurs. And I can show the responses. Again, I can do a list and it actually shows the words as they're being typed. Or I can do a grid. So they're a little bit smaller, again, showing the words as they're typed. And we can talk about some of these. Maybe there's one in here that you're like, oh, that's a great option. I can spotlight some of them. I can click on them and say, hey, everybody, let's look at this one. All right, I can lock them. Nobody can answer anymore. That's it. That's the answers as they stand. And we can move on to the next question. So this one's a little different. This is the one that was the website. And what this allows you to do is have your slide on half of the screen and the website on the other half of the screen. If you're on your phone, it doesn't exactly look the same, but that's what it looks like on the Chromebook. So on the teacher screen, you just see the slide, but on the student screen on a computer or a laptop, the two things are side by side, and it locks them into that website so they can't go hopping all over on the internet. And it actually says on my teacher screen what particular website they're using. And I actually don't know if this website works anymore because it is a safe YouTube website, which I think might be broken. All right, so this is a multiple choice question asking you for an answer. Again, I can show the responses. I can either show them as a tile or as a tally. There's a bar graph kind of thing. And if I notice that a lot of people are saying no, we're kind of going in the wrong direction, I wanted them all to say yes, I could lock it. Again, we can have that conversation. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Sally, do you want to share your thoughts? Da, 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 da. And then I can unlock it and maybe some people would go back in and change their answer. So I can use this as kind of a monitoring tool to say, hey, are we going in the right direction? Do we understand? Do we need to reteach this? So it's just kind of a quick check-in that I could use. And then this is the one you were talking about, Kim. You're going to actually find an icon on your screen and you're going to drag it around and place it where you want it to go. When I do the responses, I have the same options as the drawing. I can do the overlay. I can do the individual tile. I can do the one at a time. But like Kim said, sometimes when we're talking about it, you might notice that Sally and Jimmy keep moving their magnifying glass all over the place. I can lock their screen. You can lock the screen on any slide. And it just makes it so they can't move or draw or pick a new answer or do any of that kind of stuff.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
With the draggable slide, do you know if there's a way to choose, can we only choose the Pear Deck draggable options. There's no way to embed other, okay.
Yep, nope. So they have a set number of icons that you can do. You can make them bigger and smaller. You can change the color. I don't know the exact number, but there's numbers, shapes, kind of icon-y looking things like the magnifying glass. I think there's like a little person and stuff, but it's a set group of icons. You can't change it to like an, you know, whatever picture you find on the internet or something like that. You
I
have-
was gonna try and have them be able to build words with letters for foundations, but I didn't know if there was a way I could do that or if there was, okay.
Yeah, not so much.
Okay.
They have numbers. I don't think they have letters, but I know they have numbers. All
Sarah,
right.
Sarah, does
Yep.
the movable, draggable piece always have to be, can you say where that starts on the slides?
I think it always starts in the same place. It always, I don't know where it started, but I think it always starts in the same place.
I got some Google slides off Teachers Pay Teachers, but the draggable piece is usually on the answer. Like that's, so I didn't know if I could move where it was.
Yeah, it's always in the same spot. So you have to manipulate the slide in my experience
Okay.
whenever I've used it. Yeah.
Okay. So here's another one. And the cool thing about this one, if I remember correctly, there's more than one draggable piece. So you can put in multiple draggy things. You can put in different ones. You can kind of have them regenerate. So people can put more than one answer on the screen. So right now they're overlaid, but if I go to individual tiles, people can kind of move those little things all around the screen, and I can kind of say, huh, everybody seems to think that they're all over the world. They come from everywhere. Are we right? Are we wrong? Let's discuss. And then I think there's maybe one or two more. Yeah, this is the number question. Just kind of asking how many dinosaurs do you think you could do? So it gives you either this kind of splatter, what's it called? A scatter plot kind of thing. Or if you want to see the individual answers, the scatter plot's kind of cool because you can see if you have any people who are like really out there, like, hey, not so sure about these two friends over here or this one over here. Like if they're really far apart, you can kind of address that. And like I said, the teacher dashboard lets you see who those outliers are so that you can identify that on a one-to-one basis. But everybody for the most part seems to be in the right ballpark. So we're going to move on. All right, this is another text question. You don't have to do this one. And then that's it for that. So if you come back to the Zoom share screen, when I click this end button, it's going to say, okay, name your session. So I named my session. You guys are in my way. And right underneath the name of the session is this option to publish student takeaways. And this is a great resource because what it does is it provides you evidence of what your students did during the Pear Deck. So a lot of times people be like, I had this really great Pear Deck thing. These kids gave some really awesome answers, but I have no proof of it because it was all online. It was all digital. It was all during synchronous learning and I don't have any proof. The takeaways give you proof. So if you turn on publish takeaways, save and end, it thinks for a minute. You don't have to wait for this. It'll show up in your Google Drive. But if I go to this link, or if I do share to Google Classroom, it's going to give me those student takeaways that I'm looking for. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And basically, it's a Google document of how the students responded to each slide. So it gives a picture of what the original slide looked like, what the question slide looked like. And then right next to it is the student's response to that question, whether it was a draw, a drag, ABC, multiple choice, text answer, whatever type of question it was, it shows the student answer. And then underneath of each slide, it gives a space for the teacher to provide feedback. So if you wanted to give Sally feedback about, oh, that was a really great answer, or you wanted to tell Bobby to be a little bit more careful next time, or whatever it may be, you can type those pieces of feedback straight into the takeaways and share it with them from Google Classroom or through sharing the doc on Google Drive. So I know some of the kindergarten teachers, you guys aren't really using Google Classroom that way. So you could also just share the document with them and it would show up in their drive. And this is not loading. Questions?
Sarah, how do you, I noticed you said you could have an audio in your Google Slides and that,
Mhm.
did you say it does transfer over into Pear Deck or it does not transfer over into Pear Deck?
So if you use the insert audio option in the Pear Deck menu, so if I go back to my original slides over here, down here where it says add audio to slide. Here it comes. It gives me the option to record or upload. If I have already recorded it somewhere, I can record a message and it will embed itself in the slide for the students to hear. So I could be reading the directions on the page, I could be reading a passage, whatever it may be, I can record it. And that audio would now be part of that slide and it will work when the students are doing the Pear Deck activity.
Does it go on automatically when they hit the slide or?
That I don't know. There might be like a play button.
And then just one more question. I have saved Pear Decks like at the end and I don't know where they are.
So if you go to the website, hold on. So if you go to the website Pear, oops, I think I spelled that wrong. Peardeck.com. Here it is. Okay, it takes you to this kind of generic looking thing. Do teacher login. Sign in just like you would with your, what do you call it? Your Google. Sign in with Google. So I'm actually signed in as our management account. So I'm going to sign out and sign back in as myself. So you can see the lesson I just did. Log in with Google. Here I am. And then up here next to home, you have sessions. So if I click on sessions, these are the different sessions that I've run. So this is the one that I just finished. No, it's not. These are old. But they should all be here. You can see what they look like. You can see the takeaways. So for example, this one here, if I wanted to see the different things that are going on with it, I can see my takeaways and they're all here. Let's see if this one will open up. Here it is. It takes the takeaways and throws them each into their individual documents. They're all compacted into a folder. But if I open one of them, I can see them here. I can also see the answers in a spreadsheet by itself. Here it comes eventually. So here's the two slides side by side. So this was the slide itself. This was how the student responded. As the teacher, I have the ability to come in and give feedback here. I can also, like I said, see the answers as a spreadsheet. So I can export to spreadsheet and it'll have those same answers just in that type of a format right there. I can reopen it if I want to start it all over again, run it again. I can see how they're doing. If it's a student-paced one, I could click on these buttons and see how they're doing or see the teacher dashboard. But they all live in the Pear Deck website, all those recordings, those saves.
Will they tell what student gave what answer?
Which part?
So if I did like a spreadsheet, would it say then
Yes.
because they're signing in with Google accounts, it will say, it will tell me who said it?
So if I do export to spreadsheet, I don't know how long it's going to take to open, might take a minute or two, but it'll have their name as one of the columns. And then it'll have answer slide 1, answer slide 2. The only thing with the spreadsheet is you can't really see the draggables and the drawings because it's a spreadsheet. It's not a picture. So it actually says drawing, but it has the person's name, their email address, because it's, you know, sign in with Google. It has their email address, answer these questions. And it'll just let you know. So I feel like for little kids, it's easier to see their answers on the takeaways because so much of it is visual as opposed to text-based. With the older kids, if you're asking for more written responses or multiple choice answers, then the spreadsheet is super helpful because it's, you know, all in one place. But with the draggables and all that kind of stuff, it's way easier to see it in the takeaways. What else, guys? All right. Yeah, Laura, do you have a question?
So using Go Guardian, right?
Yeah.
You put the link in, they still have to type in the code, correct?
No. So if you do that copy link, there's no
Yeah.
code. The code is embedded in that link, just like the password on Zoom.
Okay,
Same
Awesome.
idea. Everything's in that link. They click on the link and they are in.
awesome. Thank you.
Same thing with Google Classroom. If you do the Google Classroom button and post it to Google Classroom, click and go. All right. I'm going to hop over into the other session. I will say Pear Deck is amazing. It is one of my favorite tools. It does take a little bit to get used to, just flipping back and forth between the different screens. The first couple of times you use it with the kids, particularly the little kids, start super simple. Don't get really complicated. Don't try and embed 50 questions. Make it like 3 questions. That's it. They really like the draggable drawing ones. So if you just give them time to play with it, they'll love it. And then the next couple times you use it, they'll probably be a little bit more serious about it if they can kind of get all their sillies out the first couple times. But it's a really, really great tool to just keep them engaged. Even if I've seen some teachers use it for like their daily check-in where it says like, draw what you had for dinner last night. And the kids can use the Pear Deck to kind of draw. And then you have proof that, you know, they were there and they were attentive. So you don't have to use it necessarily for academic stuff. You can use it for tons of other reasons. So
Sarah, one other thing I found out, I always find out later than sooner, is they didn't even have to drag the dot to start. They could just click where they want it to go and it automatically moved. So that made it less frustrating than Seesaw.
Yeah, so they don't have to like click and grab it. They can just click, it'll start there, and then they can adjust it if it's not where they want it to be.
I did not know that.
So you learn something every day.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep, I'm going to sign off, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in on the tech question session.